A delegation of galactic elites arrived on Earth, certain of their superiority, but everything changed in just 3 seconds. Humanity's special forces didn't demand respect, they earned it, turning vulnerability into a weapon. The arrogant commander, humiliated in a single move, was forced to admit humanity wasn't weakness, it was adaptation made powerful. Instead of waging war for a seat at the galactic table, Earth offered a lesson that shook the Federation's military doctrine to its core. And within months, the students of yesterday became the teachers of tomorrow. Stay with us to see how the story ends, and don't forget to subscribe. Commander Vex'tulia stood at the viewport of the Galactic Federation vessel Vex'tulia Noor, arms crossed, eyes locked on the swirling blue and green marble below. Earth. The name itself sounded quaint, primitive. This world had only recently breached its own planetary cradle, and already it dared to petition for entry into the Galactic Federation, a seat at a table it barely understood. Pathetic, he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Commander, we're cleared for landing at the human military installation, reported Lieutenant CS from the navigation console. Of course we are, Vrax sneered. Send one ship, and they roll out the banners like it's the second Starfront. He adjusted the trim of his metallic blue uniform, fingers brushing over the insignia of the Vanguard Corps. Elite among the elite. They were the Federation's sword and shield, not diplomats. Evaluators. Remember the briefing, he addressed the bridge crew, their scaly skin shifting in shades of amusement. Physically weak, emotionally volatile. Try not to laugh in their faces. Laughter rippled across the deck in a low hum. He didn't smile. We're not here to impress them. The Council wants to know if these humans have any strategic value. Militarily. Don't get distracted by their ribbons and ceremonies. The cosmic talon pierced the atmosphere with silent precision. Earth's gravity was lighter than Arcturian norm, the air laced with chemical traces, but tolerable. As they neared their landing coordinates, San Diego Naval Base, Vrax noted the layout. Neat, organized, efficient in a blunt, human way. Landing sequence initiated. Local time is 1400 hours, Lieutenant CS announced. Vrax saw the delegation awaiting them. Humans in formal uniforms stood in rows. Some gleamed with medals and colorful tabs. Others, darker in tone and posture, were combat gear, their elite, perhaps. Earth's warriors. He stepped off the ramp first. The air hit differently. Less density. More noise. The gravity shift made each step feel slightly floaty. A man approached, his white uniform crisp. Commander Tundra. Welcome to Earth. I'm Admiral Frank Porter, United States Navy. We're honored to host representatives of the Galactic Federation. Admiral, Vrax replied curtly. The Federation acknowledges your reception. Porter gestured to the entourage. Names and titles spilled forth, none of which Vrax bothered to retain. And this, the Admiral added, is Lieutenant Commander Jack Reaper, commanding officer of SEAL Teammate. He'll oversee your security during the visit. The man who stepped forward stood taller than most. Hair closely cropped. Expression unreadable. Eyes like twin processors, calculating without blinking. Unlike the others, he didn't smile or bow. Just a nod. Commander, he said simply. Vrax's neck frills twitched. He didn't like this one. Something about Reaper's gaze. It held no fear. No deference. Just professionalism. You won't need to waste your resources, Admiral, Vrax said. We brought our own security. Standard protocol, Reaper replied smoothly, before Porter could respond. All foreign dignitaries are assigned a detail on U.S. military grounds. It's not negotiable. Frills flared wider. You misunderstand. We are not dignitaries. We are Vanguard Corps. We don't require protection. There was a pause. Subtle. Heavy. We should proceed to the briefing room, Porter offered, tone carefully neutral. Fine, Vrax said, already bored. Let's see what you think is impressive. As they walked, he let his stride slow just enough to fall beside Reaper. So, you're their best, he asked, voice laced with derision. The SEALs. That's correct. I've reviewed your training. Compared to Vanguard standards, basic. Every species trains to its capabilities, Reaper said, scanning their surroundings. Adaptation is what matters. Diplomatic. Cautious. Vrax sneered. Let's not pretend. You're physically inferior to almost every sentient species in the Federation. Weak muscles. Fragile bones. Dull senses. What could your kind possibly contribute to real warfare? Reaper finally looked at him. Really looked. Not anger. Not insult. Just a measured calm. With respect, Commander, he said, there's more to combat effectiveness than physical attributes. Vrax laughed, loud and sharp. Is that what they tell you to help you sleep at night? The briefing room was sterile and functional. Seating had been modified for Arcturian physiology. Vrax grudgingly noted the effort. Porter began his presentation, covering Earth's military capabilities, fleets, aircraft, ground forces, special operations. It was thorough, well-rehearsed, and utterly unthreatening. Vrax leaned toward his security officer. They're a century behind the Almans, he whispered. And that's saying something. GRA chuckled, too loudly. Is something amusing, Commander? Porter asked. Just appreciating the contrast, Vrax replied. Afterward, they were taken to a training yard. Soldiers ran obstacle courses, fired projectile weapons, engaged in hand-to-hand demonstrations. Then came the highlight. Lieutenant Commander Reaper will demonstrate advanced close-quarters combat techniques, Porter announced. Reaper moved with 2 other SEALs, their sequence of maneuvers crisp, controlled. Vrax watched with skeptical amusement. Efficient, yes, but slow. Predictable. Child's play compared to Vanguard speed. He slow-clapped when they finished. Very nice. I'm sure these techniques devastate other humans. Commander Tundra, Porter began warningly. No offense, Admiral. Just a fact. He turned to Reaper. Care to test your theory? A friendly match? I'd be honored, Reaper said without hesitation. Oh, this would be good. They cleared a space. Vrax removed his uniform jacket, revealing corded muscle under scaled skin. I should warn you, he said loudly, even our untrained civilians are stronger than your best. Reaper only nodded, taking a relaxed stance. Whenever you're ready, Commander. Vrax moved casually, then swung, fast, open-handed, a deliberate slap. Demeaning. Dominant. Reaper didn't block. He pivoted. Vrax's hand grazed air, and then Reaper caught his wrist, stepped inside his guard, and struck. Pain exploded in Vrax's neck. A nerve cluster, one only known to specialists. His right side collapsed. He dropped. To his knees. Paralyzed. Gurgling. Humiliated. Reaper stepped back calmly. We focus on neurology. That point is well documented. Your government provided the specs. Vrax couldn't move. Couldn't speak. For 3 eternal seconds, he knelt on Earth soil in front of his own crew. Then the feeling returned. He gasped, staggered to his feet. What? How? Reaper offered a hand. Vrax took it, automatically, before realizing what he'd done. We studied your physiology, Reaper said. Knowledge and adaptation are our strengths. They have to be. Vrax looked at him. Really looked. And for the first time since orbit, he saw something unexpected. Not threat. Not arrogance. Value. And maybe, just maybe, the smallest flicker of respect. The reception hall buzzed with restrained energy. Human officers and Arcturian delegates moved among refreshment tables, each group struggling with the alien formality of the other. Vrax kept his posture rigid, suppressing the tremor still lingering in his right arm from Reaper's strike. Humiliation boiled under his scales, but deeper beneath it, there was thought. Calculation. Reaper, across the room, spoke with Lieutenant CS, animated, gesturing in concise motions. Odd. CS was unusually attentive, nodding rapidly and taking notes. Curious, Vrax murmured to himself. GRA approached cautiously. Are you? I'm fine, Vrax snapped, then softened his tone. It was a demonstration, not a defeat. But even as he said it, the phrase echoed hollow. The humans had been underestimated. That mistake would not be repeated. Admiral Porter reappeared, hands clasped. Commander Tundra, if you're feeling recovered, we'd like to resume the tour. Our naval facilities are this way. Of course, Admiral. One small demonstration hardly constitutes a full evaluation of your species' capabilities. They exited the hall in formal procession. But as Vrax walked beside Reaper once again, the air shifted. The SEAL's expression was unreadable, but his hand moved subtly to a comm device. Change of plans, he said quietly to Porter. We've received intelligence of a potential security threat. I recommend we move our guests to a secure location. What kind of threat? Porter asked, instantly alert. Unidentified vessel entered Earth's atmosphere 20 minutes ago. Bypassed all detection systems. Trajectory indicates this base. Vrax froze. His neck frills flared. That's impossible. No Federation vessels were scheduled. We're not suggesting it's one of yours, Reaper said evenly. Energy signature doesn't match any of your known models. A chill passed between the delegates. GRA leaned close. Hunters, he asked in their tongue. Possibly, Vrax replied. He turned to Porter. Admiral, I advise you listen to your SEAL. Lieutenant Bailey, Porter ordered, escort our guests to the bunkers. Commander Reaper, coordinate with base security. As the group moved quickly, Reaper fell into stride with Vrax. If this is a hunter ship, our defenses may not be enough. They won't be, Vrax confirmed. Mercenaries. Bounty specialists. Outside Federation law. Dangerous. Well paid. Any idea why they'd come here now? Vrax hesitated. Possibly, because of us. Reaper's pace never slowed. You should also know, right after the demonstration, we detected a brief encrypted transmission from your vessel. High level. Masked origin. The implication struck like a blow. Someone from his own crew had called them. Someone seeking opportunity. The comm crackled. Commander Reaper, came a voice. Unidentified craft has landed 1 click west. Multiple hostiles disembarked, armed and advancing. Seal the base. Bunker all non-combatants, Reaper said. SEAL Team 8 deploying to intercept. He looked at Vrax. Any tactical knowledge would be helpful. Vrax's mind raced. Protocol demanded non-intervention in local conflicts. But this was no local conflict. Typical hunter teams, 6 to 8 operatives. Mixed species. Personal shields. Energy weapons. At least one psionic, telepath, short-range control. Reaper nodded once. Appreciated. I'm going with you. That's not protocol. This isn't a negotiation, human. If this is a consequence of my crew's betrayal, then I take responsibility. For a moment, Reaper didn't answer. Then, stay behind me. Follow orders. And if I say drop, you hit the dirt like your life depends on it. Because it does. Understood, Vrax said. They rendezvoused with SEAL Team 8, a quartet of humans in full tactical gear, eyes sharp, movements efficient. Unknown hostiles. Advanced tech. Possibly targeting our guests, Reaper briefed. Commander Tundra will assist with tactical data. No protest. No hesitation. Just nods. Acceptance. They'll have energy shields, Vrax said. Emitters usually lower back. Vulnerable to kinetic force or overload. Pitman, taser rounds, Reaper ordered. They may also have a psionic, Vrax added. If so, protect your minds. Think randomness. Noise. We train for that, Reaper said. White noise. Number sequences. You'll see. A distant boom rocked the ground. Sirens blared. They're breaching the western perimeter. Move out. Diamond formation. Commander Tundra in the center, Reaper ordered. As they sprinted across the compound, Vrax marveled at the humans' fluid cohesion. They moved like one organism, each part in tune with the others. No wasted motion. No panic. When they arrived, the battlefield was chaos. Base security forces huddled behind burning vehicles. Firing uselessly. The hunters, 6 of them, advanced steadily. Shields shimmered. One of them, tall and thin, wore a neural amplifier. There, Vrax pointed. Psionic. Got it. Dawson replied, already setting up a rifle. He began murmuring equations under his breath, mental static. Below, Reaper gestured silently. The team dispersed. Peterson and Garcia moved left. Taylor flanked right. Dawson stayed above with Vrax. Vrax watched in awe. This wasn't brute force. This was precision. Coordination. Each SEAL had a role. Each role had counters. Reaper waited. Then, through Dawson's calm, the word came. Execute. The engagement erupted like a symphony of precision and chaos. The hunters, confident in their shields and physical superiority, were caught off guard by what followed. Peterson and Garcia moved first, deploying compact EMP charges with practiced fluidity. The pulses hit 2 of the hunter operatives dead on, just as Vrax had described, sending ripples across their energy fields. For the briefest moment, the shields flickered. Reaper and Taylor surged in. They didn't try to overpower. They outmaneuvered. Using the same nerve-based targeting Reaper had demonstrated earlier, they struck joints, clusters, pressure points. One hunter, a massive Soren, dropped immediately, his limbs spasming under neuromuscular overload. Another, cloaked in a Vex assassin's flickering tech, reappeared mid-combat with a gasp of disorientation. From above, Dawson remained calm, murmuring equations like a litany of protection. His first shot connected with the psionic shield, releasing a violent electric cascade. The neural amplifier sparked, then sputtered. A second shot, a specialized taser round, struck true, landing just beneath the amplifier's base. The tall psionic screamed, its mental reach collapsing in an instant. Reaper's voice crackled through comms. Psionic neutralized. Push forward. The hunter formation faltered. Their advantage, gone. They've adapted to us, Vrax muttered in disbelief. All of them. Adapted to our species' weaknesses. Down below, the last 3 hunters fought with growing desperation. The Vex lashed out with bladed limbs, only to be tackled mid-leap by Taylor. Garcia followed up with a close-range pulse round to its sensory cluster, dropping it. One of the reptilian mercs tried to escape, darting toward the tree line beyond the compound. Peterson anticipated the move. A stutter step, a sudden pivot, and a clean takedown. The last one, the Cronin Berserker, charged straight for Reaper. The thing was massive. Rage-fueled. A living weapon. Reaper didn't flinch. He sidestepped at the last moment, attaching a small device to the back of the Cronin's shield emitter as it thundered past. The device detonated, a targeted blast designed to bypass the outer field and rupture the shield node directly. The Cronin spun, unshielded, and Reaper was already moving. A sliding roll beneath the beast, a precision strike to the base of the skull, another Federation-documented weak point. The creature collapsed. Not dead, but paralyzed. Contained. Clear, Reaper called out. Clear, came the echoes. Vrax descended from his vantage point, stunned. Not by the efficiency, by the understanding. These humans weren't stronger, weren't faster, but they had studied, trained, practiced to such an extreme degree that they could counter threats that should have overwhelmed them. He knelt beside the Cronin, who glared up at him with hate. Who sent you? Vrax demanded. The Cronin spat. Ask your lieutenant. The skinny one. Paid us to eliminate you. Make it look like the humans did it. The world tilted. CS, Vrax whispered. Reaper stepped beside him. He was asking about base security protocols earlier. I thought he was just inquisitive. No, Vrax growled. He was positioning himself. Arcturian internal politics. He wanted my post. Wanted me gone. Commander. Taylor called, jogging over. Base security detained someone trying to flee toward the landing pad. Said he's one of yours. Navigation officer. Bring him, Vrax said darkly. Minutes later, Lieutenant CS stood in shackles, flanked by human guards. His expression shifted rapidly from denial to fear to surrender. I can explain. Save it for the tribunal, Vrax cut him off. You tried to orchestrate the assassination of a Vanguard commander. That's Void Colony exile at best. They weren't supposed to attack the base, CS protested. Just discredit you. After the Reaper embarrassment, the Directorate promised me your post. Vrax stared at him, not with anger, but with cold clarity. His own arrogance had opened this door. He'd underestimated humanity, assumed superiority, and someone had seen that as weakness. Secure him, Vrax said, turning away. Cleanup began. Medics moved in. SEALs holstered weapons. The smell of burnt ozone and scorched grass lingered in the air. Reaper approached. Your intervention saved lives, he said. No, Vrax admitted. My arrogance put them in danger. You learned. Fast. That's rare. They stood in silence. 2 soldiers. 2 different stars. Same code. Your team performed impressively, Vrax said at last. Our Federation reports will need updating. We're used to being underestimated, Reaper said with a slight grin. It usually works to our advantage. Not anymore, Vrax replied. At least not by me. Admiral Porter joined them, composed despite the chaos. Commanders, the situation is contained. No human casualties. One of my officers will face Federation justice, Vrax said. Porter nodded. This wasn't the exchange we expected, but it was certainly educational. Indeed, Vrax said, and then did something he would never have imagined mere hours earlier. He extended a hand. Human style. I came to evaluate if humans could be useful allies. I leave wondering if the Federation might have something to learn from humanity. Porter took the handshake firmly. Reaper inclined his head. Vrax turned to him. Your people lack many natural advantages, yet you compensate. Thoroughly. Strategically. That's what the Vanguard values most. We work with what we've got, Reaper replied. And we don't stop learning. Vrax looked back at the battlefield, at the unconscious hunters, at his restrained officer, and then toward the training yard where it all began. I'd like to learn more about those nerve strike techniques, he said. Porter smiled. I believe we can arrange that. As they walked together back toward the compound, Vrax felt something shift within him. Respect. And something more unexpected. Hope. The sun dipped lower as they returned to the compound, casting long shadows over the scorched grass and scattered wreckage left in the wake of the battle. Repair teams were already at work, humans and machines moving with practiced urgency. Drones swept debris into containment fields, while medics, both organic and synthetic, assisted the wounded. The base hadn't just endured a surprise attack, it had responded. And won. Vrax walked beside Admiral Porter and Commander Reaper in contemplative silence. The weight of what had occurred wasn't lost on him. The political implications. The military recalibrations. The personal reckoning. I'll be reporting this incident directly to the Federation Council, Vrax said. But not as a complaint. As a case study. Reaper raised an eyebrow. A case study? On adaptability, Vrax replied. On the underestimated strength of ingenuity. They entered a debriefing room where refreshments had been replenished and a new level of formality hung in the air. The surviving Arcturian officers sat clustered on one side of the room, clearly unsettled. GRA caught Vrax's eye, his expression caught somewhere between relief and shame. Lieutenant CS had been taken into secure custody, awaiting extradition. Commander, GRA said quietly once they were alone. I should have seen it. I should have. No, Vrax interrupted. This isn't on you. This was my blind spot. I saw only weakness in these humans. And in doing so, I became vulnerable. GRA nodded solemnly. Next time, Vrax added, we study our hosts before we condescend to them. Meanwhile, Reaper and his team were already reassembling, not to celebrate, but to review. No cheers. No egos. Just cold, tactical analysis of what went right. And what could have gone wrong. Vrax watched them with a new kind of interest. Your forces have something ours rarely practice, he said to Porter. And what's that? The Admiral asked. Defeat, Vrax answered. You've learned how to lose. And in doing so, you've learned how to adapt. Most Federation powers build around superiority. Yours builds around limitations. Porter's smile was faint but genuine. We work with what we've got. A silence followed, brief but mutual. Vrax stepped forward, voice steady. I would like to extend a formal request. Permission to observe your advanced combat training. Specifically, SEAL team protocols. We don't usually share such things across species, but perhaps we should start. Reaper didn't react outwardly, but Vrax noticed the shift, the fractional softening of his stance. Acceptance. We can accommodate that, Porter confirmed. And just like that, the terms of the mission shifted. Vrax had come to Earth to evaluate the humans. Now he would study them, learn what had allowed them, in less than 3 centuries of interstellar exposure, to reach the threshold of tactical parity with species millennia ahead. Later that evening, Vrax remained behind while the others retired to their quarters. The compound was calm now, though guards patrolled with greater vigilance. He stood alone on the balcony overlooking the training yard where his humiliation and education had begun. Footsteps approached. Reaper. No SEALs tonight. Vrax asked. Debrief's done. They're running sims. Same scenario. Different outcomes. Impressive. Reaper joined him at the railing. Your officer, he said. What he did, was it common? Political sabotage. Vrax replied. Rare, but not unheard of. Especially in the vanguard. Prestige attracts ambition. He could have gotten a lot of people killed. He nearly did, Vrax admitted. And if your team hadn't adapted so quickly, he might have succeeded. For a moment, silence reigned again. But this time, it wasn't cold. It was shared. I read once, Reaper said slowly, that strength isn't measured by the power you hold, but by what it takes to make you change your mind. Vrax glanced sideways. Was that a human philosopher? Close. My grandmother. Vrax huffed a quiet laugh. Wise woman. She was. Still beat me at chess until the day she passed. A long pause. Then Vrax asked, do you think your people are ready? For the Federation? Reaper thought for a moment. Maybe. Maybe not. But we'll never stop preparing. And that, Vrax realized, was the difference. Humans didn't presume dominance. They earned it. One adaptation at a time. The following day, the Federation delegates were invited to observe a live training simulation. A full-scale urban combat exercise conducted by SEAL Team 8 and additional U.S. Special Forces units. The compound had been transformed overnight, with modular buildings rearranged to replicate an off-world colony layout, complete with variable gravity zones, smoke dispersion modules, and holographic civilian overlays. Commander Vrax stood on a raised observation platform with Admiral Porter, GRA, and 2 silent Arcturian aides. Below them, human soldiers moved with quiet precision, adjusting equipment, checking sensor drones, finalizing loadouts. What exactly are they simulating? Vrax asked. An extraction scenario, Porter replied. Hostile territory, non-human threats, and civilian rescue under time pressure. Vrax nodded slowly. Adaptive complexity under stress. A good measure of tactical depth. Reaper approached, helmet in hand, already in light combat armor. You're participating? Vrax asked, eyebrows raised. I lead from the front, Reaper replied without pride. Just fact. And the opposition? AI-directed semi-autonomous drones. Fast. Unpredictable. Designed to simulate advanced alien tactics. GRA scoffed. Let's see how long they last against actual alien tactics. Reaper gave no reaction. A buzzer sounded. The simulation began. From the first second, Vrax could tell this wasn't performance. This was learning in motion. The humans flowed through corridors with tight formation, clearing rooms, marking survivors. Updating data feeds in real time. The AI enemy shifted tactics mid-battle, responding to flank pressure with counterstrikes and diversions. Vrax watched as Reaper's team hit a bottleneck near a makeshift reactor chamber. Instead of pushing forward, Reaper called a halt, dropped smoke, and doubled back, diverting through a supply corridor that had been closed during their initial recon. They breached it in seconds. Circled around. Eliminated the threat from behind. Why didn't he press? GRA asked. He had momentum. Because momentum doesn't matter if you bleed for it, Vrax replied quietly. For 2 hours, the humans fought. Not perfectly, but relentlessly. Mistakes were made, quickly corrected. Injuries simulated. Casualties tracked. By the end, 87% of the civilians had been rescued, the hostiles neutralized, and the team extracted. The command deck burst into applause. Even a few Arcturian aides blinked in astonishment. GRA leaned toward Vrax. I don't understand. They're fragile. They lack our reflexes, our resilience. And yet, they endure, Vrax murmured, through discipline, coordination, and will. After the simulation, Reaper met the delegation near the field. You watched the whole thing? He asked. Yes, Vrax said. And I have questions. Reaper chuckled. That's what I like to hear. Vrax spent the next hour with him in the debriefing tent. Charts, data, tactical choices, psychology reports. Every decision in the simulation had been recorded and dissected. Every human weakness confronted, then turned into training material. We drill our failures, Reaper explained. Harder than our successes. And if you succeed, then we make it harder next time. Later that night, Vrax sat alone in his guest quarters, reviewing footage from the day's exercises. He paused the screen on Reaper's expression during a close-quarters breach, eyes narrowed, breath steady, posture precise. In that moment, Vrax saw no primitive species. He saw a peer, a rival, maybe even something more dangerous, a mirror. Because everything the Vanguard Corps held sacred, resilience, precision, coordination, the humans had found their own version of it. Without genetic enhancements, without superior musculature. They had built it from experience, from pain, from necessity. A quiet chime drew his attention. Incoming message. Federation channel. Encrypted. He opened it. Subject, reassessment request, human integration into Vanguard war doctrine. Commander Tundra, based on your preliminary reports and confirmed footage, the Council requests you begin drafting a formal proposal on incorporating human combat doctrine into Federation-level war simulations. Your authority on this subject is now primary. Vrax leaned back in his chair, expression unreadable. So, the Council had felt it too. The message from the Federation Council played on a loop in Vrax's mind as he walked the quiet perimeter of the compound under the early morning sky. The humans called this time dawn, a slow bloom of orange light across a blue atmosphere. Peaceful. Deceptively so. Integration of human doctrine into Federation war simulations. It was unprecedented. It was also politically volatile. Vrax knew what the inner circles would say, that he had been compromised, overly impressed, emotionally swayed. But the footage was irrefutable. The data spoke for itself. Earth's forces weren't just competent. They were formidable in a way the Federation didn't yet know how to quantify. They fought like creatures who had no right to win, and yet somehow always did. In the training yard, Reaper was already drilling with his team. No cameras, no spectators, just bone-deep repetition, simulated resistance, precision under exhaustion. You don't rest? Vrax asked, stepping up to the edge of the ring. Reaper shrugged, wiping sweat from his brow. Rest is earned. Besides, muscle memory's a perishable asset. Vrax considered the statement, then stepped closer. I've requested a joint training module. Reaper didn't stop moving. With us. With Earth. Full exchange. Theory, fieldwork, systems modeling. Going to be a hard sell for the Federation, I bet. They'll resist, Vrax said. Until it saves their lives. A pause. Then Reaper tossed him a practice weapon. Weighted staff. Non-lethal. Perfect for sparring. You want to learn? Reaper asked. Start here. Vrax took the staff. His grip was confident. Balanced. What's the rule? Adapt. And don't blink. The bout was short. Vrax was faster. Stronger. But Reaper was unreadable. His movements didn't follow expected patterns. He baited reactions, shifted tempo mid-swing, used environmental positioning in ways Arcturian soldiers never trained for. After 5 minutes, both were panting. Vrax stepped back, offering a nod of respect. I see now, he said. Your species doesn't win despite its limitations. It wins because of them. Later that day, Vrax initiated a private conversation with Admiral Porter. I need to speak to your Planetary Defense Command. In full. Porter raised an eyebrow. Unusual request. I'll share Vanguard protocols in exchange. A pause. I'll get the President on the line, Porter said. Within 24 hours, Vrax found himself seated in a secure room at a round table with representatives from Earth's top military minds. American, European, Asian, African, orbital. It was the first time an Arcturian officer had addressed Earth's planetary defense network directly. He began without ceremony. Your species has mastered asymmetry, he said. You are the only known civilization to have weaponized unpredictability. Confused glances. He clarified. You fight like prey that grew tired of running. And so you learned to hunt the hunter. He outlined everything he had seen. Every adaptation. Every countermeasure. He displayed footage of the SEALs' combat against the hunters, annotated with physiological overlays. He explained how tactics that seemed chaotic were in fact deeply intentional. When he finished, the room was silent. One of the generals finally spoke. Commander Tundra, what are you suggesting? Vrax folded his arms. That Earth become a testbed for hybrid doctrine. That your forces train not with us, but train us. You offer something the Federation lacks. Humility in the face of threat. Reaper, seated beside him, added quietly, we've been fighting above our weight class for a long time. The general smiled. We noticed. By the end of the meeting, 2 things had been agreed. Earth would host a joint combat symposium. Vrax would be its first Vanguard liaison. The announcement sent ripples across both the Federation and Earth's military alliances. For the Federation, it was the first time in recorded galactic history that an emerging civilization would host elite training operations. The decision was controversial. Some viewed it as an insult. Others, as strategic genius. Vrax's report was distributed through secure channels, accompanied by footage of the SEALs' takedown of a fully equipped hunter team. The data could not be ignored. On Earth, the reaction was a mix of pride and disbelief. News outlets speculated. Defense analysts scrambled to catch up. Social media exploded. The humans had done the impossible, not only survived first contact with an elite interstellar force, but impressed them. Vrax remained on Earth as preparations began for the first joint combat symposium. It would be held at an undisclosed site, half above ground, half subterranean, built in collaboration between Earth engineers and Federation logistics specialists. Construction was completed in just 6 days. The SEALs called it the Crucible. Vrax preferred the term. He and Reaper were appointed as co-commanders of the initiative. The Crucible featured multiple training zones, high-gravity arenas, zero-G corridors, cloaking mazes, psionic suppression fields, and environmental shift chambers. It was designed not to favor any species, but to challenge all of them. On the opening day, delegations from 6 different Federation species arrived. Alnans, Tauric, Drevii, Kaler, Ventar, and Arcturian elite units under Vrax's authority. Each brought their best. Each expected superiority. They were wrong. Reaper led the opening scenario, an asymmetric extraction under fog, darkness, and variable magnetic interference. SEALs paired with Federation squads, alternating leadership roles. The results were instructive. 3 out of 5 Federation teams failed their objectives. Those that succeeded did so under direct human command. Vrax watched from the observation deck, arms folded, face unreadable. GRA approached from behind. They're not adapting. They will, Vrax said. Or they'll fail. And learn. That was the core of what humans had mastered. Not winning. Learning to win. After the first week, Reaper introduced what he called the Red Cell Protocol, humans acting as the opposition force, using non-traditional, improvised tactics. Booby traps, misdirection, psychological pressure. It worked. The Federation trainees had never encountered anything like it. They complained at first. Then they analyzed. Then they improved. Just as humans had. On the 10th day, a Kalar tactician approached Vrax privately. These humans. They don't wait for the enemy to reveal weakness. They create it. Vrax nodded. And they share what they learn. Freely. The Kalar officer looked bewildered. Why? Because they know their strength isn't in the individual. It's in the pack. Later that evening, Vrax and Reaper sat beside a fire pit in the outer training ring, an archaic Earth tradition that had caught on among the delegates. Reaper broke the silence. You still think we're weak? Vrax stared into the flames. No. I think you were forged in weakness. And now you're stronger because of it. Funny, Reaper said. Most of the galaxy sees strength as a birthright. We see it as a choice. Vrax turned toward him. Maybe that's what the Federation needs most right now. Not soldiers. Examples. Reaper gave a slow nod. No pressure then. Months passed. The Crucible became more than an experiment. It became a movement. A proving ground not just for tactics, but for philosophy. Federation commanders began requesting transfers there. Not just to train their troops, but to observe the humans. To learn how Earth's forces, under-equipped, under-armored, underestimated, had redefined the nature of resilience. For Vrax, it was the most productive posting of his career. Each day began with drills. Each night ended with after-action reviews, where humans and non-humans alike dissected failures without ego. And slowly, something extraordinary happened. The trainees stopped referring to human methods and Federation doctrine as separate. They began speaking a new language of war. One based on adaptation, on shared experience, on humility. When the second wave of trainees arrived, this time with dignitaries from the High Council itself, Reaper and Vrax prepared a special demonstration. A mixed-unit exercise. 3 humans, 3 Federation soldiers. Their mission was simple. Extract a diplomatic hostage from a simulated off-world site, defended by autonomous Hunter-class drones with randomly generated tactics. They succeeded in 12 minutes. The High Council delegates were speechless. Afterward, one of them, Elervas of the Drevii, approached Vrax directly. You were sent here to determine if humans were useful, she said. What is your assessment now? Vrax didn't hesitate. They're necessary. She tilted her head. To Earth? To us, he said. The report he submitted afterward was short, but definitive. In it, he recommended 3 unprecedented reforms. Full integration of human tactical philosophy into all Vanguard core simulations. Deployment of mixed-unit squads on border world stabilization assignments. Permanent presence of a human command element on the Federation Military Strategy Council. The last one raised more than a few frills in Arcturian space. But the vote passed. Barely. That was all it needed. And so, for the first time in galactic history, a representative from a species less than 3 centuries into spaceflight was given an advisory role in shaping interstellar defense policy. His name was Jack Reaper. When Vrax watched him address the council calm, focused, unapologetic, he felt a strange, fierce pride. The humans hadn't climbed the ladder. They had redesigned it. And they'd done so without fanfare. Without conquest. Without begging. They had simply shown up and let their work speak for itself. The closing ceremony of the first Earth Federation Combat Symposium was held not in a grand hall, but in the Crucible's training yard. Reaper stood beside Vrax as representatives from 20 species watched their flags flutter side by side. You realize, Vrax said, you've changed everything. We didn't do it alone, Reaper replied. No, you just reminded us how. There were no speeches, no declarations, just a shared silence. And in that silence, understanding. Not that Earth had earned its place, but that it had always belonged. And it had taken a single sparring match, 3 seconds of humility, for the galaxy to finally see it.